Hello, Internet. This is Ewan Spence and ESC Insight calling. Welcome to the summer. A Dutch flavoured in a party pan, July 19th, and our first summer news podcast for the Eurovision Song Contest. Coming up, what happened to the 2019 points, where we're going in 2020, and a brand new cherry for your ears. Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Ewan Spence here once more in the chair, and the ESC Insight Summer News Podcast. Slightly less frantic pace than we've been used to over the last couple of months, but that's okay. We've gathered in everything from the Eurovision Song Contest to keep you in the loop with everything that's going on. Consider this the calm after the song, before we all start getting ready for our trip to the Netherlands next year for 2020. But we have Eurovision contests and events before that. One of them, as already noted at the top of the show, in a party pa in Glasgow, the Dutch Victory Party, 19th of July. We'll have the link to the website back at escinsight.com, so you can click through, get your tickets and have a weekend in Glasgow. It's on the Friday night, and you might as well just extend it for another day or two. If you're running another event out there over the summer months, do get in touch. We'll get that mentioned on the next summer news podcast as well. Don't forget, you've got Eurovision Choir on August the 3rd, and of course there's a whole raft of songs which are being kept quiet until September the 1st. Now remember, that date, it's sort of considered the start of the on-season. It's not a hard and fast, if you release before, it's never getting to do Eurovision. If you release after, it's okay. It's about commercial advantage. So you can have a demo track up on YouTube that's had 7 listens for years and years and years, and still have it announced on September the 1st as the entry for a country. That's okay. That's not commercial advantage. If it's been up on YouTube and it's got 100,000 views, then it's a bit of a different matter. No doubt there will be some songs this year, as always, that just blur the lines a little bit. Common sense applies. Just keep that in mind. Right then, a little bit look back. We've got some administration and notes from Eurovision 2019 first of all. First up, the Marcel Besançon Awards, awarded by the press, the Artistic and the Composer Awards, while on the ground in Tel Aviv. The press room voted on the Press Award, which went to Duncan Lawrence for Arcade. The Artistic Award was voted on by all the official commentators. That went to Australia's Zero Gravity, and the team behind Kate Miller-Heidke's Bouncing Around, and on the polls, and the team from Strange Fruit. And the Composer Award, which is voted on by a jury of participating composers at the song contest, that went to Italy's Soldi from Mahmood. What else do we have? Well, the DVD of the show is now available, but due to rights and lawyers and stuff, there's no Madonna on there, which is probably a good thing. I will leave it at that. And yeah, the points. Now, we're still going to the Netherlands. Arcade still won. So at the end of the day, the top result is still the same. But there's been a lot of movement and discussion about the points awarded and how they're calculated and how they're noted down throughout Eurovision week. And there's sort of a couple of key points here. First one is the Belarus jury one. Following discussions of the semi-final rankings in public, the Belarus jury was replaced by an aggregate score calculated by a pool of other countries for the grand final. Unfortunately, the announced score was incorrect. In the week after the contest, the EBU issued a corrected result. That meant that in the jury vote, Sweden was pushed out of the top spot with the juries, and that handed the jury victory to North Macedonia. Not seen on screen, but it is down there on paper. That was an error that was corrected. The rest of the errors were noted, but not quite sure what's going on with them. So, for example, the Lithuanian points, as calculated by the Italian televote. Shortly after the contest, REI published the percentage of the Italian televotes, and this didn't match up with the points that have been awarded in the main score table. Now, the EBU has stated that the published vote was overseen by Dagame and audited twice. It's the correct one. Possibly issues with cut-off times or extra votes being disallowed by Dagame's computers that weren't seen by RAI. Nevertheless, The published vote stands, so as it was, there is no change to the scores there, but certainly, again, raised a couple of eyebrows and everything was kept quiet, and then we had this statement coming out going, nope, it's definitely correct, with no explanation of why. Question marks again. And also question marks over a number of members of the jury, because when you compare the semi-final juror rankings from individual jurors to the grand final rankings, it looks like the semi-final ones had been reversed, i.e. they'd given 26 to their favourite song, 25 to their second favourite, because they thought it was points, not rankings, or whatever. Now, once the juror has signed off that their vote is true and correct in the form, there's nothing that can be done. You can question them and go, you sure? But they've signed the bit of paper, and there it goes. And nobody has said anything publicly. But if these reversals are the case, and you can argue for and against that, and yes, it would have changed the qualifiers in terms of who got the top 10 on the scores. But for the record, if there had been an error, for example, and a juror had stood up and went, I got it wrong, I put them round the wrong way, and that would have changed the qualifiers, for example, between semi-final and final, and they did it on the Friday morning, for example, doesn't actually matter. The qualifiers that were announced on television are the qualifiers. The points table may well have changed, and I suspect that there would be a huge amount of lobbying and pressure applied on the ground if there was to happen for there to be a reversal. But the book says what gets announced on television is what will be the case. And, so there's a lot of issues that hopefully are going to be considered by the EBU, the reference group, and the EBU's TV committee as well, and to just sort of work out what's going on, how you can improve the system. Three points that I think they should be considering. One, design for failure. Assume the people who are doing this are human. So put a checkbox, for example, with the juror scores. A big box that one says, write in the name of your favourite country. And that way you'll know, you can go, hold on, you've said that X is your favourite country, but you've put them in 26th place. Simple check, but you're assuming that something will go wrong, so you put your fail-safe in. There obviously needs to be a work on rebuilding confidence with the delegations. That can happen behind closed doors, but also the community as well. It's great that you can have a quiet word with HOD and show them what went wrong, but if you don't show the public and the community, then that kind of erodes confidence. Okay, yeah, most people are only going to watch in May and aren't really worried about that, but the influencers, the people who pay attention to the contest, they need that confidence that everything is working as normal. And being open with these results and the calculations is the main way to do that. One of the reasons we can spot what we think are reversals is that all the results are now published. It used to be you never got the jury breakdown. So, being open, showing how it works. Sunlight is great for this sort of stuff. We can see what's going on. Those who want to can see. Those who don't want to know that others have been looking over and get confidence that way. So, there are still some elements that are big black boxes that we don't know. Things like how the 5 juror votes are actually combined to get the final juror scores. San Marino's televote calculation. More on that will be coming up in ESC Insight over the rest of the summer. We just want to know that what's put up on the TV on the night is the right score. And looking back at Tel Aviv, we're not quite sure. Okay, right then, looking forward to 2020, and of course, there is no doubt that Arcade won Eurovision Song Contest. It does go to Duncan Lawrence. Now, quick primer on Dutch public broadcasting, because there are going to be a lot of initials and names being thrown around over the next 12 months. You have a foundation called the NPO. That's effectively the governing body. Then you have a number of public broadcasters who are around that, and they get airtime based on the number of members that they have. And then there are 2 public service broadcasters that are put together by law. So you have NPO, the governing body. You have NOS, which is one of the public service broadcasters, which is one of the news and factual organisations. Then you have Avro Trust, who, of course, you will all recognise from the Song Contest. They're one of the membership-based broadcasting organisations in that as well. Eurovision 2020 is going to be organised in cooperation between NPO, Avro Trust and NOS. Each will have their own role in part of the contest. We'll get more details as we go along. So you have 3 organisations which will have a committee and keep everything on track, each doing the thing that they're strong in. So it's not just Avro Tross, who we're familiar with, who are doing the songs, it's the other elements as well. Now you've got that out the way, it's a nice little glossary. We've got some suggestions on the dates. Now I know that when we did the 9 things to think about and look forward to in 2020 back on ESC Insight, we did suggest that May 23rd looked likely. But there are more and more weight going towards the weekend before Saturday, May the 16th. And to be fair, we did point out at the time that if it went to Rotterdam, the 16th would look a little bit more likely for the grand final. And now that we've seen some of the bidding documents and discussions around them online, it looks like May the 16th is being suggested as the primary provisional date. Do not take this as the truth. Don't go booking unrefundable stuff at the moment, unless you want to burn money, by the way. Always at this point, look at the cancellation costs, look at flexible travel. We're looking at May the 16th, but it's not nailed on yet. Again, neither is the host city. A number of them have been announced. We've already got a couple of announced their intention, and they said, you know what, we've changed our mind. The Hague has dropped out. They don't have a suitable venue. They're now supporting Rotterdam. Leeuwarden has dropped out because they did have a venue, but the ceiling was too low and didn't meet the required height. So still in the running with Amsterdam, Arnhem, Breda, Den Bosch, Maastricht, Rotterdam and Utrecht. Lots of people, of course, the obvious one is Amsterdam, but we have to remember the Dutch Grand Prix is back on May the 10th for Formula 1, and the Dutch tourism authorities are putting less focus on Amsterdam and more on the rest of the city. The mayor has said that, Amsterdam's already got a lot of events for 2020, and he feels that Amsterdam could do it. And my suspicion is that it's kind of there as a safety net. It's like, if nobody else will do it, Amsterdam's got the facilities, but we're going to be looking outside of Amsterdam. And my gut and many others think that Rotterdam is in the lead. Maastricht, The Hague and Arnhem are in the sort of next line. And then Utrecht, Breda and Den Bosch are sort of in the third tier of the contest. We will probably have a result on that early to mid-August. The bidding packages are in and delegations can go out, you can go out and visit the host cities and see the facilities on offer. So by the time we get to August, we should have a host city. In terms of entries, the EBU has discussed new membership rules for the organisation overall, which may have affected who could or could not have entered Eurovision 2020. No changes have been implemented. So currently we have 26 countries who have declared that they're going to enter the song contest. No, I'm not going to go through them all just now because there are months until the final entry forms are required to be put in, so we're going to wait to see what happens as we go forward. As for 2020, it's all quiet, backroom planning, bits of paperwork. That's what we've got and are comfortable with at the moment. Of course, we've got a couple of Eurovision events before that. Coming up first of all is Eurovision Choir 2019. That's taking place on Saturday, August the 3rd in the Partel Arena in Gothenburg. Capacity there is about 5,000. Currently, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Latvia, Norway, Scotland, Slovenia, Sweden, Switzerland and Wales are your entry list on there. Since the last contest, Austria, Estonia and Hungary have withdrawn, and although France had announced and was on the initial list, it's now withdrawn from there as well. The format is that all the countries will get, I think it's a 4-minute song, and then they will be reduced down to the top 3 choirs to do a super final of a 3-minute song, which means they have to do a different song before we get our winner. Choir of the Year, used to be Choir of the Year, Eurovision Choir 2019, Saturday, August the 3rd. Junior Eurovision, Sunday, 24th of November, so we're looking forward a little bit more for this one. Gliwice Arena in Poland. Main arena there is rated up to 13,384 capacity for music events, so by the time you put the gubbins in, the green room and backstaging, 11,000 capacity for Junior Eurovision, slightly more than Israel. Yeah, we're expecting that one there. Current entry list of countries. We've got a lot here. Albania, Armenia, Australia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, France, Georgia and Ireland, Malta, Netherlands, North Macedonia and Poland, Portugal, Russia, Serbia, Ukraine, Wales and Spain are in there as well. Italy is confirmed also, just as we're finishing off the writing of the script. Deadline for these submissions is actually Monday. That doesn't mean that you can't have an invite going out to somebody like Kazakhstan once all the countries' names are in and we can see if there's a space. Kazakhstan, of course, not a full EBU member, so they would need an official invite from Poland's broadcaster TVP and the EBU, so they would be able to go to the contest. My understanding is that they are planning an entry, but we will watch this space. Those of you keeping track on paper of the withdrawals from Junior, Israel are not going to be at Junior this year. Arguably after Eurovision, the broadcaster doesn't need to go to Junior Eurovision just to see how things are going, and budgets, as we saw at Eurovision, are incredibly tight as well, so they're skipping Junior this year. Portugal it's still actually at Junior. That's one of the things that I really enjoyed. They popped along in the 6 months before Lisbon, stayed for last year and are still there as well. Nice to see that. And various other countries have issued the usual polite, we're not attending, we're focusing on other areas as well. Right then, so music. Lots of music has come out from a whole bundle of Eurovision alumni over the last month. Not going to go down absolutely everybody out of all the 60 more than 60 contests that we've had, but in terms of the class of 2019, let's just run down some of the releases that we've had from there. Kaino and their new single Praying was available on all good streaming services last week. I think that's one that many people were waiting on. Duncan Lawrence, while he's not done a new release, he has added more tour dates and is getting bigger venues following his victory. Head over to his website for more details and ticketing and such like. Hatari, right after Eurovision, released the single Cleffi Samet, featuring Bashar Murad, a gay Palestinian musician who's living in East Jerusalem. Sharp eyes will spot that the video location in the official music video and the outfits worn by Hatari match those that were in their Eurovision postcard. Sneaky there, and anyone listening closely will pick up on the themes of liberation and freedom in the song. There's a Russian language version of Sergei Lazarev's Scream now available after the contest. Curious it wasn't released beforehand to get the pickup in the countries on the border of Russia, where Sergei has a strong fan base that could have gathered a bit more televote, but there you go. Estonian producer Sin Cole has released Discovery alongside Victor Kron on vocals, cracking up the EDM and the bass drops, and certainly it's a step up from Storm. Zala and Gaspar have released a much welcomed, subtle Come to Me song for a little bit more listening, and I'm going to sneak in Junior Eurovision's 2018 winner Roxy Weigel. Technically it's that class of 2019, but there you go with the season. The self-titled debut album is out there. Anyone I Want to Be is on that track, and it's got the lead single of Dobre Jest Jak Jest kicking in as well. A little bit of country news dates for your diary in terms of entries. Albania has opened up submissions for the 58th edition of Festivalia Kenyes, which is due to take place in late December. No official word on the winner being the Eurovision act, although that has been the case since 2004, so we're assuming the same is happening again. Deadline for Czech songs is July 31st, so you've got about a month to get in for that one. There's rumours that there's going to be a national final in that this year as opposed to just an online vote, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Finland and UMK is returning to an open submission process after 2 years of a nominated singer and 3 songs being presented to the public. The submission window opens on November the 1st and closes on November the 8th, so you've got time to get everything ready, but get ready for that 1 week window to get the entries in. And finally, over in Sweden, set your diary for August the 24th. That's when Sweden's annual P4 Nasta New Music Contest for the radio will take place, and the judges will award one act of their choice, not necessarily the winner, a wildcard spot at Melody Festivalen. And unless we hear otherwise, that will be our first performer name for 2020. August 24th, we can start filling in the playlists. Couple of highlights around the internet for you to note down as well. As mentioned, we have Party Pan, which is taking place in Glasgow on Friday the 19th of July. Tickets are available online. All guys running their usual second chance contest for the songs that didn't quite make it to Eurovision. Check your local OGAE board for voting details of the 24 countries that are entering that contest, and then they will go to vote and it'll all be amalgamated and there will be an all-guy winner there. Speaking of second chances, the second Cherry event, which happens in November, now has a podcast with the talents of friends of the parish, Monty Moncrief and Matt Baker, discussing those national final songs that didn't make it through. You can help contribute and discuss the songs that didn't make it and help select the songs that will take place into the running order of the second Cherry event in November, which will crown the winning Almost Eurovision second Cherry song. And it'd be remiss of myself not to mention ES Insight Samantha Ross's podcast 12 Points from America, along with Eric Nelson and Danny Vopfa, who don't know Eurovision at all, who's taking a look at Eurovision from across the pond, and Phil Colclough keeping an eye on the podcast over at On Europe as well. Well, that's that. That's the summer. Go back out, enjoy the weather, and we'll be back soon in July to give you more news and keep you up to date with all the happenings in the world of the Eurovision and the Song Contest and the choir and the junior and everything else that's going on as well. And yes, we still have the guitars. The ESC Insight News podcast was hosted by Ewan Spence, written by Ewan Spence, Charlene Wright, Samantha Ross and Ellie Chalkley.